Hello, everybody, and welcome back to One Hub Racing after a week's break. Here we are in Mexico for the P3 tier round 8, so plenty way through the season, and a change in the comms box tonight after Colin isn't feeling too well. Speedy recovery to him, and looking forward to seeing him back on track next week. But Matt's joined me in the commentary box, another P1 driver that I share the track with. Welcome to the comms box and your first ever One Hub Racing commentary, I believe.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hello, everyone. Yeah, glad to be here. Excited to get started. Not watched much of P3 tier this season, but had a quick look and yeah, really well. Yeah, we'll see what it brings really, especially with the weather expected.
Yeah, we'll come to that. Obviously, Matt's raced in One Hub for many seasons now, so he's no stranger to the rules. And let's quickly give a mention to the drivers who are taking new engines this week. So for those of you who don't know, all the drivers have to take a new engine one of the 12 races this season, and when they do so, they can come out, do an outlap, dive straight back into the pits, and retire from the session. So they effectively don't take part in the qualifying where they take their new engine. And we have three drivers who are doing this tonight. That is Fozzie, Anthony Hunt, and Popper. So up until last week, Popper was your championship leader. He's currently in second after the controversialness of how Italy ended, but we'll come to that in a minute, Matt. Talk us through engine penalties. Obviously, you're taking yours in the P1 tier tonight. Why do you think these drivers have chosen Mexico?
Um, well, um, I'll take it for obviously myself. I think it's a perfect opportunity for overtaking. Um, yeah, with that long main straight and really hard braking to turn one, and even the second mini straight, perfect opportunity for overtaking. I think that's why I think drivers are are taking the penalties here because it's one of those places where starting at the back is probably key.
Well, there's a long run as well down to turn one, isn't there? I think, in real life, some drivers say they prefer to start in third on the grid with the long run down to turn one than they do kind of start on pole. Obviously, you want that slipstream towards turn one with the heavy braking zone. I think it's the longest on the calendar, actually, particularly season 24's calendar, between the first pole position and the chicane to turn one, the famous chicane.
Yeah, um, yeah. It's obviously with so many drivers compact, especially at the start. It's going to be key that you don't really want to be starting at the front, especially with the heavy braking zone. You're gonna really you might get caught up in action there. Whereas obviously at the back you can just ease off and be like, yep, I'll take the places from here.
Yeah, obviously DRS helps as well when that's enabled in lap 2, but as we see lots of drivers out on track, only 3 drivers remain in the pits. Dr. Mew, by the way, won't be taking part in qualifying as he has a qualifying ban, but has missed the last couple of races out ill. So welcome back to Dr. Mew to the league, and glad you're feeling better, as we're seeing a first lap time of a 17.7. Jack just comes in just behind us. A decent lap time from Felix just comes in up into third, just under a second behind. It's quite a short track here, Matt. Not too many corners. Perhaps towards the end of this session, as Hooky goes fastest, we might see traffic causing some issues here. Drivers lifting off in that last sector to try and get themselves a bit of space.
Yeah, we've seen it in real life. The clock, as soon as that clock goes down, further it goes down, the track it just gets better and better, and you really want the best track conditions to set the fastest lap. So I'm sure we'll see a few drivers, a few issues, especially how close the track is. I know there's a bit of runoff area, but it's obviously not ideal for cars to obviously go off track and get probably bigger damage or unnecessary wear on the tyres. So if the car is coming on the lap and the guys on the outlap, you don't really want to catch them in sector 3. That's probably where the most danger zone is for people on a lap and people who are not on a lap. Yeah, I don't know about yourself. I don't know if you have the same feeling, but yeah, sector 3 is it's not the best to be held up on.
Yeah, I think it's tricky because there's such slow speed corners in Sector 3. They're almost unnatural as Ghost pumps it into second place. They're almost unnatural for, F1 cars, in a sense, because of obviously they're built for downforce and kind of middle sector corners. But yeah, there's so many few corners here, and you've got to get your tyres up to temperature before that last sector. Whilst also obviously trying to keep out the way of other drivers, as we saw on that lap just a minute ago, just get out the way from Ghost in the final sector. Luckily there's lots of runoff in the final sector, so if drivers need to, they can cut the chicanes, but obviously if they're about to start a lap, they don't want to invalidate this and next lap, which we often see. So, as we're riding on board with Rageman, let's move on to the weather, shall we, Matt? So, the League Adaptive Weather System has been announced ahead of today's race at lunchtime. We've got a dry qualifying, as you can see. Will remain dry throughout this 18-minute short qualifying session. And then also, you have the race, which is going to feature some wet weather, Matt. Do you want to tell us the exciting news that we all look forward to on a track that's already low grip?
Yeah, I'm sure the drivers were very excited when they seen this earlier. But it's going to be absolutely tipping it down in Mexico at the start of the race. And then it's going to slowly ease off, and then at the end it's going to be dry. Now we had this pretty similar in Zandvoort, but the other way around. So it's going to be quite interesting, especially with strategy that people are going to start on. In intermediates, we know that we had that happen in obviously F1 esports. But I'm sure most of the drivers, if not all drivers, will play it safe, especially with this being the first tier to have this weather tonight. It's going to be a learning curve for obviously these guys and even the tiers later on. So yeah, we'll see how who can make the right strategy call really. Are people going to stay on wets, or are they going to go to wets and then go to inters and then dries, or is it even going to get dry by the end of the race? That's it's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, and obviously being on approximate, it means that each tier's race will be slightly different. I know last time, Matt, in the P1 tier, it was meant to rain in Italy, and it came in the other two tiers at different stages, but in the P1 race it never came.
No.
So it just shows you that, approximate, and to be honest, that's part of the parcel. If you had it on perfect, I think the quickest guys would be able to plan everything, work out everything, and there wouldn't be as much margin for error and variability in the results. So approximate for me is definitely key to the new adaptive weather system for this season, and I think it's also important that we don't see any races which are just pure wet. Sometimes they can be a bit dull. So Matt, we've got to look forward to tonight. Changing conditions, walls close by, so there's a high chance of a safety car. And as you mentioned, heavy rain to light rain to dry. So how will the drivers manage? What will they do in terms of their strategy? Here comes Shelby across the line to complete his first fine lap, and he pops it up in provisional pole position. So Shelby joined the league last season. Obviously an Xbox driver, I know him in real life, and his pace, Matt, has improved rapidly from last season to this season. Constantly in qualifying being up there near the top of the field. But has struggled a little bit to stay out of trouble in the opening laps some weeks. But mainly his issue, Matt, has been that as he pulls over off the track onto the grass to let someone through, his main issue has been penalties, Matt. And I feel like we could see quite a few penalties in the race here tonight for track extensions.
Yeah, it's very easy to pick up a warning, especially at the S section. Yeah, it's quite tricky. You need to find that rhythm really early. But obviously, the way that the weather is planned, it's going to be quite hard, especially with heavy fuel. How these guys are going to try and hopefully avoid those early warnings, and just find that rhythm really early. And I think that's going to really pay dividends right at the end when it gets a bit more faster. and where you do need to push a bit more as well. But obviously talking about penalties, I'm reading in the chat as well that Colin's put Anthony has got a 15-second penalty to be served at the end of this race. I don't know if that's true, Nick, but
Yeah. Kind of a trial run this season. The stewards wanted to try applying penalties for the race thereafter if they DNF, to see if that works any better. Something we've never done, but experimenting with this season. Haven't been too many examples of it, to be fair, but yes, there is a 15-second penalty due to be served for Anthony. And interesting that both Mercedes have chosen to take their engine penalty this week in Mexico. It's very rare that you see both drivers do it at the same track from the same team, particularly if they're fighting for the constructors, as Mercedes is. But last week in Italy, Anthony showed, I would say, his strongest performance so far. And you mentioned that the track is only going to get quicker here in Mexico as the session goes on. Try and ride on board with a few more drivers whilst we're chatting. Hooky slightly down at the end of Sector 1. Another driver who wants to get involved in this championship fight after some early race DNFing moments. But let's talk about this wet weather again, Matt. Do you think drivers who are taking their engine penalty or have a qualifying ban like Dr. Mew, do you think this is going to hinder them or help them move forwards?
Well, I think early start, I think it may help them, especially starting at the back of the grid. You can obviously avoid that little turn one pile-up potential. But obviously, as the race goes on, you're going to really focus on your pace rather than having DRS to help you. So it's going to be quite interesting how they manage the battery, and obviously if they can have a setup for straight line speed where they can make that overtake pretty easily.
Yeah, obviously a massive long run. No DRS, of course, when it is raining, but we do expect it to dry up towards the end. As we mentioned, heavy rain to light rain to dry conditions. Now, Anthony's ignoring the rules at the moment, so he's taking a new engine, but he's just completed his outlap and he's now continuing to do a flying lap, which obviously isn't allowed when you're taking a new engine. You have to only complete an outlap and then start, dive into the pits and start from the back of the field. So it'd be interesting to see what the stewards make of this. But as we ride on board with him through this middle sector, you can see Dr. Mew retired, has a qualifying ban. Popper and Fozzie also taking new engines, so they won't be taking part in qualifying. But it's pretty competitive here so far, Matt. A second separate the top 13 drivers at the moment.
Yeah, all the way from Hooky with the 17.2, and then Cowboy, obviously down in 13th. So obviously Matthias hasn't really set a competitive lap yet. So we'll see. He's obviously just about to start his lap. He got driver of the month, didn't he, for this month? For February. So we'll see how he does. He's obviously 25 seconds off. So hopefully he can get a bit closer. It's really close. Obviously, obviously between Felix and 125 AM. It's obviously within all that 4/10. So these little mistakes, little errors, can cost you those little thousandths, hundredths. Could cost you, as we could probably see, but could cost you for 3 places. So we'll see what these guys can do. See if they can nail that lap to get even closer. But obviously Hooky's leading the way now. Obviously just over 3.5 minutes left, and he's leading the qualifying by 2.5 tenths. So is he gonna go out for another lap, or is he pretty confident that he's gonna get pole here?
Well, it's one of those interesting tracks where you can actually do 2 laps on a set of soft tyres and not really lose too much. It can be maybe half a tenth as Matthias goes straight to the top of the timesheet. So perhaps Matt doing an extra outlap to get some heat into these tyres is the way forward, because Matthias has just popped in a 17.0, as you mentioned, the driver of the month from February, the first one of 2024, and yeah, great to see. Just to fill you in, Matt. So he got a pole position. I think his third at one hub in Miami. Got disqualified for overtaking the safety car from the lead. One of those, game frustrating incidents. And then bounced back, didn't moan about it, didn't, start throwing things around. And then next week came back and scored his first win in his 54th race at One Hub. So moments like that need to be recognised, and therefore he will have a One Hub Racing medal delivered to his door at some point within the next few weeks. So let's talk about 2 minutes to go in the session, and lots of drivers either out on laps or on an out lap now. So Proverbs on a hot lap. Felix is slightly down in Sector 2, pretty much dead on with his current lap time. This is an impressive showing from him. He's usually towards the back of the field, currently up in 6th position. So what can he do when he crosses the line? Me and Matt were just talking off stream how difficult that final exit is, and he does 2 3/4 attempts off pole position at the moment. So Matthias, we think, is probably going to be... He's starting another lap now as Matthias, so he reckons this one set of tyres can do enough to secure him pole position. So Hookie's on an out lap. You've got Ghost, who's diving into the pit, so his session's over. Felix looks like he might try another lap. Shelby's on a hot lap. Proverb is on an out or a cool down lap, I think, as he's currently 4 seconds down. His teammate is currently just improved 2.5 tenths. So is he going to try and go again? Jack's on an out lap, James on an out lap, Marcy currently down in 12th position, Alpine is half a second up. Jess is on an out lap, as is Cowboy. Anthony's in the pits. So confirmation goes for tyres. Who's your money on, Matt? Who do you think's going to take this pole position?
Well, I wouldn't count out Felix, but he's going to have to find 3.5 tenths. He's got a bit of a car ahead of him, so I don't know if he's going to stay close to an Alfa Romeo of Shelby. So I don't know if they're working together or Shelby's going to do a little dummy here. Well, they're pretty close here, so I don't know what's how this is going to work here, Nick. But Felix is right on the back of Shelby. Shelby's got no slipstream, he's got really no battery, so Felix hasn't even got no battery either, so I think that guarantees them out. But I've just gone on board with the championship leader, 125, and he is 2.5 tenths up, heading to Sector 3. So as he goes through the S's, so it's going to be quite interesting. If he's going to get a pole, but I don't think he's going to find 7 tenths in the final sector. So I think Matthias' one to lose, but I wouldn't discount Hookie, who's
3 tenths
up,
up,
and he's improving as well. So as he goes through, obviously these last few corners, any error, he's going to be it's going to absolutely cost you so much. As he heads into the stadium section, he doesn't want to wave to the fans just yet. He wants to wave to the fans when he gets pole. Will he be able to do it as he goes into the final corner, down to 3rd gear? Nice, easy on the power. Can he keep close to the entry? And he does. Does he get pole? Yes, he does. 17 dead, 0.24, and he beats out Matthias to pole. So I think that's everyone.
Shelby's on a lap, but I think he's probably going to run out of hers. He was equal to his best Sector 2 time just. Can he do anything in this final chicane? Obviously, you'll see the drivers in qualifying keep it tight on the exit here, almost as if they're going to dive into the pits, because that's the quickest way to cross the line. Shelby decides not to do that and doesn't improve. So Rage Man, the only driver, but he's half a second down. Yep. So I expect to see him dive into the pits.
Cowboy moved up to 13th, just behind Jess. So it's just over 3 tenths improvement from Cowboy, so I think he'll be happy with that. But she's starting sort of in the mid pack around there. It's obviously not ideal, but it'll be interesting to see if we can get a top 10 result. But yeah, that's qualifying over.
Yeah, there's your qualifying result. We'll run through the order in just a moment when it gets confirmation on our stream. But thrilling session there, and Hookie's third career pole position at One Hub Racing. So well done to him. Very tight between the top two there. So Hookie on pole, Matthias, your February driver of the month, in second. M125 championship leader in third. Ghost in fourth. Three Brits in a row actually. Felix in fifth, his best qualifying result of the season, I believe. Shelby in sixth. Proverb in seventh. Jamie in eighth. Rageman in ninth. JR Mason in Ferrari in 10th position, Jack in 11th, Jess in 12th, Cowboy in 13th, Marcy in 14th, Anthony, who has a 15-second penalty to be applied to his race time tonight, and also ignoring his new engine qualifying situation, which we've covered. Dr. Mew has a qualifying ban, will start 16th, Popper in 17th, and Fozzie in 18th, both of whom have taken a new engine. Lots of drivers still to take a new engine in the final 4 rounds of the season, so will anyone's blow out? But you can see, Matt, the puddles in the pit lane and the heavy rain is pouring down here in Mexico.
Yeah, it's a bit wet. It's still be quite interesting. There's quite a few puddles, as you mentioned. But yeah, we'll see how the drivers can tackle. There's obviously no formation lap in one hub, or is that returned? I can't remember.
There is no formation lap.
So
currently.
it's straight into it, straight into the race. So yeah, no warm up for the drivers. Probably you're going on practice from the previous practice sessions. Race track conditions are all different, and this is obviously the crunch time now. Doesn't matter how much practice you do, it could all end. Before even turn one, it's that the main straight is that long. So we'll see how the drivers can. Hopefully they've got their little wetsuits on, and yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely thunderstorming it down by the looks of it. The rain is coming down mega heavy. The fans are still cheering in the pit lane though as they look out onto the grid, which I always find really frustrating in this game, that you can't see the grid or how long until the lights are going to go out. So I can't even get the spectator menu all set up. I find that really frustrating. But let us know in the comments who you think is going to win tonight. Let us know who you think is going to get on the podium. And big shout out, as I mentioned, Colin isn't feeling too well. He's hurt his back. So speedy recovery to Colin. His first ever race he'll be missing in One Hub tonight in the P1 tier. And we will, as much as I'm enjoying having Matt in the commentary box, I'm sure everyone will be glad to see Colin fully recovered and making his return next week. But maybe, Matt, we'll have to get you in the commentary box. If not this season, maybe next season again. But heavy rain, what will these drivers be thinking on the grid, Matt? They've obviously got to decide their fuel, decide their strategy, although that's going to kind of be play it by ear. I imagine everyone will start on the heavy, the full wet tyres.
Yeah, I'll look at the puddles in the pit lane and see the rain from the screen. There's no doubt that it'll be all starting on wets. But what's going to really go through their heads at this stage is they want a clean start, they want a clean lap one, they want to get into that rhythm really early, avoid any carnage, any accidents, and and obviously hopefully do better than they probably did or they wanted to do in qualifying. Probably some of the drivers in qualifying was not happy with their final lap, and we'll see what they can do in the race. Let's see if they take it up really early or they wait to head in. And here we go.
5 red lights then. You can see the rain coming down. The puddles just in front of the top two. Looks like Hookie gets a decent start. And you can see, there's cars everywhere at the moment. It's a terrible camera angle. But as we head down to turn 1, M125 is looking to go from third to first position. The move's already done before we even get to the braking zone. Are we going to see any front wings? The other Ferrari trying to go right down the inside there, and you're seeing that was someone spun round. Matthias, I think, starting from second.
Matthias is round. Jeremy Met is round. There's a few cars that have, I think the Red Bull round obviously Jeremy Met. So it's not a great start for these guys. Dr. Mew. Oh, there's another car around. Matthias has gone round again. Yeah, probably carnage, but obviously Hookie's just made a move up to second, past Whoopi Proverb. So it's all going on, Nick.
Yeah, I was going to ask you in a minute about as you're seeing a driver Anthony Hunt retiring from the session, retiring on track as well. So you can see his ghost there, so that's not allowed. He really wants to get in the stewards book tonight. Matthias obviously starting in second, down 15 positions. Your biggest loser here tonight. Yellow flags in sector 2. Jamie also down 8 positions. Felix down 5.
Virtual safety car, Nick.
And yes, virtual safety car. So everyone will get a chance to breathe. We'll get a chance to run through your biggest gainers. So Fozzie's up 7, Popper's up 8. That's important for him to get as close as he can to M125. Probab had a good start in the McLaren. He's up 4. The other McLaren's up 3. And the other Haas is up 6. So some drivers really taking advantage there as a virtual safety car. You can see flashing on your screen.
Ghost is in the pits.
Ghost in. So let's see if anyone comes in through damage.
Jack Mundo and Papa Swatch are in the pits as well. Dr. Mew's got speeding under the VSC. I think he must have been... he's pitted, so... Has he? No, he hasn't pitted. I wonder what's happened there then. Because I know sometimes this game likes to award penalties for being under the delta while heading into the pit lane. So that was surprising, but he's obviously on the main straight, so quite surprising how he's got that drive through. He'll be absolutely fuming with that. But obviously it's an early race, lap 2 of 36, so, and I'm sure there'll be more safety cars and opportunities to get back in the race for Dr. Mew, so yeah.
Definitely, it's interesting to see Poppers come into the pit. So he obviously gained 8 positions as Jack gets a drive through for speeding under the VSC. So you have to make sure when the VSC ends, which it has, your delta is below it's green and not red. Jack hasn't done that, Dr. Mew hasn't done that, so both of whom will be having to serve a drive-through, but potential safety cars late in the race could bring them back through the field, and of course this weather could mean anything happens. M125 gets a good jump on Hooky through this safety car restart, and you can see everyone still on the wet weather compounded tyres. We'll keep an eye on the rain in this 36 lap race. When will it ease up? But at the moment, it looks like we're starting to see some gaps settle in. Marcy's the closest driver on track, just behind Fozzie Bear, who's made a good start after starting at the back with an engine penalty. Matt, I want to ask you this. I was going to try and ask you before the start, as you're seeing a McLaren come in now into the pits. This is interesting. So really, why wouldn't you stop under the virtual safety car? What tyre is he going to go for? Oh, he's changing the front wing. So he's obviously got damage at some point. Matthias is... Nope, Dr. Mew's coming in to serve his drive-through. And what's this, Popper? Does Popper have a drive-through as well?
Don't think... No, it's not wing damage. It must be. Doesn't say he's up or he's on out, so... Yeah, drive-through.
I didn't see him pop up with a drive-through. I saw Jack. They were close together. But anyway, I'll try again. So, as Hookie's struggling there in front, what do you think drivers will have done with the setup tonight, Matt? Obviously, you don't have to give too much away about your own choice later on tonight, but do you think drivers will have put on a bit more downforce because of this rain, or do you think they will just try and stick it out with what they have until the dry conditions arrive?
Well, it's going to be quite interesting to see, who would have gone for a wet setup. Qualifying, obviously, in the race actually with part turning on, and who would have gone with the dry setup. So, but I think it looks at the moment that the Haas team have gone for a fully wet setup because the amazing start they've had, obviously M125 all the way from I think 3rd on the grid up to obviously now in the lead, and he's actually controlling the pace, and Cowboy starting all the way down in 13th, and 3 laps later he's down, he's up to 5th. So it's an unbelievable start for the Haas boys. So I'm sure they've got a wet setup on. As Felix nearly had a bit of a moment.
McLaren did have a moment, and Shelby got through, but obviously then you got this long slipstream. By the way, if you see the lights flashing in the rear of the car, that will always be the case in the wet weather conditions as Jamie sets the fastest lap of the race. It's not necessarily because they are low on airs. Matthias comes and smashes that. So Felix and Cowboy going side by side. Marcy tries to come to the inside.
Yep.
Has to cut the chicane. He couldn't slow that car down, could he? Backs out of it, but Felix, who was attacking Cowboy, has now fallen a second back because of Marcy's move. So that might end up in the steward's office. Bit reckless there, but sometimes it's difficult in these conditions, Matt, to get the car slowed down.
Yeah, it wasn't a smart move, but with the spray happening, you know, he always, you know, he's trying to push and, you know, push past the limit, and I think Marcy must have done that heading into turn one. Or he might have not, and he's just trying to do something different. But Matthias just picked up a penalty as well. So you know, well, you know, I don't think the drivers are listening to my advice in trying to find that, avoid those early warnings. As Marcy's having a really struggle, so he must have a really dry setup on, as he's absolutely he's drifting around these corners. Yeah, but Hookie's obviously closing back. He's now within 1.5 seconds of N125. But we'll
look at this battle from Fozzie down to Jess. So these cars, 4 cars, as they exit this final corner, struggling for traction. You can see the spray as we got yellow flags. That's Papa. That's Papa Scorch has had a spin or an incident or something. So this race is going from bad to worse after a decent start. Green flags again, so he gets going. He'll be hoping for a safety car. But would you look at this? Your championship leader is leading the race. The guy in second, who led all the way until Italy, which we still haven't discussed. As we're seeing Shelby and Hookie go side by side. What a move from Shelby down the inside. Has the outside for turn 2, and the second part of the chicane gets it done as we exit, and he's got the traction in that Alfa Romeo to get the job done on Hookie. So did Hookie make a mistake perhaps there?
Yeah, it'll all stem from the last corner, Nick. You know, as we mentioned about the traction, especially at that last corner. Hookie had a bit of a moment out of that, and that really gave Shelby that opportunity to come alongside Hookie into turn 1. And you know, when you're side by side and you're sort of out of position, and it was a really good move, really well planned from Shelby. Took the opportunity, and yeah, it moves up to second. And we'll see if he can close that gap below 2 seconds, and hopefully slow down or reduce that little championship lead that M125 has got at the moment. But yeah, as he takes us on to lap 6 of 36, so really early on. Any more battles going on at the moment?
He's still got this 8th down to 11th battle, as you see him. Well, and I think there's Jamie's there. Matthias is catching up as well. I can't believe the spray coming from the cars on the exit that last corner. It must prove really difficult into the turn 1 braking zone. Thankfully, it's a nice wide track into turn 1 here, so opportunities to have a little sneak as Cowboy and Felix remain fighting. So good showing from Felix here tonight as he's left the session, so I jinxed him there.
Something's happened there, because I've seen Cowboy back end of it. It was had a really poor exit onto the first port chicane into turn 3. It's turn 3, turn 2. So yeah, I don't know what happened there between the two, but Felix obviously left the session, so I don't know if he's got any damage. I'll try and go from the outboard camera.
Marcy went deep there as well, Matt. Marcy went really deep again, off track, just as Sector 1 ends. So he's really struggling on the brakes in the Alpine, but obviously he will be able to pass through the ghosted Felix unless Felix can get back in the session. The gap, by the way, is coming down rapidly at the top between M125 and Shelby. So is Shelby running perhaps a bit of wet weather setup here, or is just this his true pace? As look at, he gains 3/10 on that last corner. Doesn't seem to be struggling with the rear of the car as much as some of the other drivers here tonight. It's under a second now.
Yeah, it must have made a mistake somewhere. Probably most likely the S's. That's, you know, the curbs on this game. Feel like to throw you there.
Here comes Jamie on his teammate Jess down the main straight. Just didn't fight that one too hard, and I imagine Jamie used a bit of hers to get the job done there. Much more comfortable in that Red Bull at the moment than his teammate Jess. So they'll both continue on to this battle to which Fozzie just got past Felix, so they're all probably going to get past Felix now. Yep, see Mason move up into 8th position. So Felix, man, losing loads from this disconnection. Hopefully he can get back in, because he was showing some strong pace here tonight. It's definitely his strongest race up till now of the whole season.
Matthias just picked up another penalty.
Yeah, gets a second penalty.
Yeah.
Let's switch to the front though.
The race if it was a late safety car.
Here we go. Shelby on the back. Whilst we go through this chicane, I'm just going to send an invite to Felix if I've got him online, just to help him out.
That's okay. But yeah, it looks like Shelby's got so much traction on the rear compared to M125.
Look at him. M125 is absolutely squirming.
Oh my life. So that, yeah, same again for Shelby. Same sort of issue with that M125 had. But yeah, well, he's got that straight line speed, which I think we did. I sort of picked up on the previous lap. But I think it was below 1 second. I think heading into turn 1 it was 1.3. So yeah, Shelby's sort of, I think, really has got that wet setup on. As he's so close, he's pushing him through the corner as Felix is joined back, which is great to see. But yeah, Shelby seems to have just a bit more downforce on his car, which is really helping him through the corners, but it's really disadvantaging him on the straights. So we'll see if he can get a better run there.
If that's the case, he'll be hoping it stays as wet as long as possible. But I think if he can get past, he will be able to gain enough in the middle sector where he'll be able to at least have a chance of defending down the main straight. As Hookie's closing in now as well, so M125 perhaps starting to struggle on those wet weather tyres. Let's have a look further down the field. Fozzie's behind Marcy now. Obviously Marcy struggling with his braking in the Alpine. Teammate Ghost down in 12th position, so he's the highest of those who have completed one of their 2 mandatory pit stops. Look how much Shelby gains in this middle sector and last sectors. As you said, Matt, he's pushing him through some of these corners.
Yeah, it's both Ferrari powered, so it's not nothing to do with power. It's literally, I think it's just that different setup as M125 is coming into the pit. So yeah, he's not liking those wets. So I think it might be time.
Do you reckon time for Inters? Probab's in as well.
Eased off a bit. It's less puddly.
He's going for it.
Track. Yeah, he's going for it. So first driver on set of Inters as Whooping Goldberg, or not Whooping Goldberg, Whooping Rover.
Thinking of WWE there, Matt.
Yeah.
A few of them coming in now. Cowboy, Marcy. So 4 drivers choosing. Yeah, you got another 3 in. 7 drivers. Providing they've selected Inters, they will go on to the Inter tyre. Matthias, Rage, Fozzie, the others to come in. Jess
has gone on to wets again.
Yeah, gone on to wets.
So she forgot to change.
It's possible.
Possible, especially when everyone else is pitting. It's very. Well, especially with Red Bull being at the front of the pack, that pit entry, you don't have really time to adjust the tyres. But it's going to be really interesting to see what M125 does now, because he's right behind Felix, which is obviously not going to help him. But he's just so much quicker than him, than Felix through these corners. So I'm sure he may make the move. But he's going to really make the move. He's going to take a risk through the S's. He's going to have so much traction.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got to try something, because otherwise he's going to lose out, I think, to Shelby. This undercut won't be as effective if he can't get past.
Yeah, Shelby's in the pits. Does Hookie follow? Hookie's had a bit of a mistake because he's lost. He was within a second of Shelby, but he's dropped below 4 seconds. So
almost 5 as they come into the pits. You get a slow pit entry there as well.
Yeah.
JL Mason.
Interesting now.
Is he gonna double stack for the Ferrari team? Yeah, the Red Bull of Jamie's in as well. So Ghost continues on these wet tyres. So he's deciding that he doesn't want to come in just yet. Obviously he did pit on that one.
Shelby's out of the pits. M125 coming round. He's going to have the overspeed, and he just gets him. I think he would have had a much bigger gap if it wasn't for Felix.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously, these 1 lap fresh to Inters. We know what it was like in Zandvoort with the tyres. How quickly, Inters was so fresher Inters compared to used Inters. How quicker they were. So it's going to be there's advantage Shelby again.
Yeah, so Jess has come back into a pit, so she's made a second stop, which suggests she did select the wrong tyre for that pit stop last lap. So that's going to cost a big time here. Dr. Mew also in to get rid of those wet tyres. So the only driver on the wet tyre is going to be your new race leader, Ghost, who
Ghost has let
everyone go.
Leader for a bit. Yeah, I think he's given up the Ghost there. pardon the pun.
I like that one, Matt. Giving up the ghost.
Thank you. Here all night. So
signing autographs afterwards, yeah.
Yeah. But so he's dropped down to 4th now. He's let those guys go. But Hooky, he's really struggling. He was just about getting, well, he's really struggling with braking because he's just gone deep there. He's not really happy with his setup as Felix has picked up a penalty. But is Ghost in a pit? Yes, he does.
Shelby continuing.
He's the only Alpine driver as well.
Where he left off. Still struggling though, Matt. Straight line speed. Look at this. Closes up, but just couldn't get the job done. Obviously doesn't have the straight line speed that M125 has, which is a little bit helpful for us, Matt, to see later on that even in these wet conditions, even if you're slower over the course of a lap, providing you've got good straight line speed, without that DRS, it's going to be tricky to get the job done. You've got Felix right on the back of Jamie now as you see this cluster of cars coming into turn 1. Felix going wide. Jamie's now going to have the inside to the second part of the chicane, and then the McLaren's going to get a good run on Felix as well as Popper sets the fastest lap of the race. I've got a feeling that's a lap of anger as you see Rageman squirming to get on the power onto this little mini straight here. Matthias all over the back of JR Mason as well, so nothing you can do through this little section, but this group of cars giving us some good entertainment here as Shelby gets the job done. Sorry we missed that. Gets the job done coming out of the S's, and the McLaren of Provob is showing some really strong pace here in third position.
The Haas and McLaren have just collided there, heading into the braking zone, and M125 has just maybe come across Whopping Proverb, and he's got damage. I think he must have got damage. He's hit the wall. I think he has actually, which was quite surprising. He took a big whack out of the wall there between the two. So it's really interesting now. So I think he must have made a mistake in the S's again, like he did probably previously when that gap was a big gap, and now it's it wasn't. So I
think what's interesting, Matt,
speed is all right.
Yeah, is that I was just going to say that the McLaren can't catch M125, so I don't think it's just a case that there's been an accident further down, or is this just pits? No, this is Felix coming in, Jamie coming in for a front wing change, so perhaps he's had an incident, and also JR Mason coming in for a front wing change.
Yeah.
So
something's up in there.
We missed it, but something's
missed that.
something's
one job, Nick, one job.
I know, yeah, I'm sorry guys. And I just want to give a quick shout out, nothing to do with this race, but really important. So F1 specialist from the P2 tier is at hospital, and I can confirm that his partner has just given birth to a baby. So congratulations to both of them, and hope they are all well, and looking forward to seeing him back on track next week. But straight back over to here. Shelby absolutely pulling away and not getting warnings by the looks of it. So an Achilles heel for him in previous weeks, proving to be something he's on top of here. And look at this. Proverb all over the back now of M125. So this low downforce setup, will it come to pay him back in the later stages of the race? Can the McLaren do anything here? He's using ERS, but he just can't. Oh, that's frustrating.
Soul destroying, I think. They've obviously ideally gone for a wet setup, and as this race goes on, I think if you're twitching enough, guys, I think maybe a straight line speed setup is going to be the one.
Yeah, if you can keep everyone behind, then there's no chance of them getting past you on the straight. But look at this, since Shelby's gone through 3.2 seconds, so how long will these interconditions stay for? We know the dry is coming. Let's have a quick look over on Jack, who's the only other driver within DRS. Nope, we're going back to the front, because through this twisty middle section, is Provob able to do anything on the Haas driver? Championship leader, of course. Down into the right-hander here. Easy to get a track extension on the outside. But both drivers keep it well within, as the McLaren looks like he had a bit of a moment on the rear of the car. Can't be too aggressive with these curbs, they vibrate the wheel loads if you hit too much of them, but M125 gets a good exit, and the McLaren almost goes into the wall there. So
That is,
Probob.
yeah, probably a change of pant time there from Wapping. It's yeah, that's scary moment. You definitely wake up again. Yeah, so yeah, that's not the best moment for Proverb there.
So Papa up into 13th place now after his drive through. Ghost sets the fastest lap of the race on those intermediate tyres right in the middle of the field, kind of on his own. And look at this, Shelby just extending his lead each lap. Fozzie coming up, well, both Williams coming up to the back of Marcy, who's currently in 6th position. But what's the straight line speed like of this Mercedes as he's on the back of Jack? I don't think he's going to have enough to be able to do anything here in turn 1. Carries more speed, but yeah, just not able. Oh, gets close to the back of him.
Yeah, well, he closed up on the brakes. He didn't. I think probably got similar straight line speed, but was it with obviously with Jack having a bit of a tow from Jess ahead, and obviously not being too far away. Yeah, but it looks like Papa Schwartz is trying these different lines and hopefully getting a better run. We know he's a bit quicker here, both same lap tyres, but it's just trying to force the error in these conditions. It's not obviously without DRS. It's you know, you're trying to put pressure on us. So that's what worked for Shelby with obviously M125. Hopefully that's what Wapping Proverb is going to do with the same again. But Papa's watch. So not the break starts the race after that drive through earlier. But he's obviously 13th, chasing down Jack, and obviously Jack is chasing down Jess. So yeah.
Yeah, Jess obviously having to do 2 pit stops after selecting wets. And by the way, Shelby gained over a second on M125, your championship leader this lap. So that just shows you the pace that he's got in that Alfa Romeo. That can't just be down to setup related. I guess we'll find out when it dries up if he's an absolute boat on the straight. But here comes Papa Squatch trying to go down the inside of Jack. It's right on board with Jack and see if Jack's able to hold it around the outside, which you can often do here. But I think the Mercedes are able to carry more speed, and it's too much for Jack to defend. So let's see. As I said, the Williams are catching on Marcy, currently in 6th position. Ghost is also catching after setting the fastest lap of the race last time out. Probab still hanging on within DRS of M125, but isn't able to get the traction out of that last corner and then have the straight line speed to do anything. As we see here, the rear of that McLaren still very wobbly, and M125 is an absolute rocket down this straight.
Yeah, it's yeah, maybe he's got the Ferrari 2019 engine in the back of his car, because the straight line speed is unreal.
I'm going to ask him after this race what wings he was running, because my goodness.
It's got to be like 1-1 or something.
Yeah, it's got to be. Perhaps he thought it was Italy again after winning last time out. Which, by the way, the controversy between himself and the other previous championship leader, Papa, was that Papa overtook under the virtual safety car, about to overtake Jess here as well, and the stewards did give him a 5-second penalty as much as he tried to plead his innocence that M125 was letting us through. Jess giving him a little bit of a squeeze onto the grass. Not often you see that from Jess, but she was ready to get her elbows out, and I don't think she particularly moved over there. I just think she only left half a car's width.
Yeah, she stepped to a line. I think Papa was like, well, you know, I might have better traction on the grass, but obviously that didn't quite happen. But we'll see. If he can
forward with the McLaren,
see if we get that better exit. Yeah, so we'll see how he gets on. But I think he's going to stay behind Jess once again through these last three sectors.
Here we go. Sorry, Matt. Final corner. Looks like M125 struggled a bit for traction there. And the McLaren, is he going to be able to do anything? Under half a second as they exited. Hookie's closing in on these guys, by the way. And Shelby is now 7 seconds ahead. So surely, even if it dries up and, you know, some of his rivals are running a lower downforce setup as Marcy gets passed by one Williams and the other one closing in. Are they going to be able to gain back that advantage on a dry setup on a dry track? I just don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know. Obviously, with the way that obviously the weather is, well, the track is right now with Inters, still got plenty of laps to go, so I'm sure that it should dry out, but it's still raining at the moment. But obviously you touch on Marcy there, he had an absolute moment, rear end moment, and the final corner again, he nearly ended up doing it at Sebastian Vettel Hungary back in 2014. That's going way back. Yeah, he nearly did that, so that's how sideways he was. It did well to save it, to be fair, but that obviously gave the opportunity for Fozzie to, well, take that position. And he moves up to 6th, and Matthias is right on the back of Marcy. So we'll see if they don't apply that pressure, and yeah, Alpine lose. Well, oh well, he's struggling through those S's again. Marcy, he's not got the great setup for the rear end.
Lots of battles on track at the moment. You got Shelby absolutely 9 seconds now. Is M125's being an absolute roadblock? As surely the McLaren is going to be able to do something here. Jess as well, by the way, has been passed by Papa on that lap in the middle sector, I believe. So Jamie gets himself a penalty now. We'll run through penalties in a minute, and we'll run through as well who has completed 1 or 2 stops. But Hookie closing in now within 2 seconds. Matthias about to pass the Alpine of Marcy, so both Williams drivers moving up. Is Marcy going to try and go back down the inside? No, thinks better of it after that early incident into turn 1. And he's got his teammate now behind him, just 1.3. So, yeah, Ghost having a good recovery as well after staying out on the wets the longest. He's obviously got the freshest into tyres of everyone on the field. Let's quickly switch over to penalties. So Hookie has 3, Matthias, Marcy and Rage have 6, Ghost has 3, as does Felix and Jamie, and Dr. Mew has 6 at the back of the field. Stop-wise, everyone has completed 1 at least, as we're seeing Marcy go into the barrier. So we had 2 moments on the exit there. Virtual safety car, Matt.
Virtual safety car, yeah. So, yeah, what were you saying about Marcy? Marcy had a bit of a moment again. I was riding board on obviously Proverb there on the back of M125.
Yeah, so he had a moment, almost lost it, and Jack's got himself another drive-through, so he really can't keep his Delta green under this VSC. But yeah, Marcy had a moment on the exit of the double slow-speed right-hander, corrected it, caught it, but then had another one as he tried to put some more power down and ended up hitting the wall. So I'd expect to see him come into the pits after what was a strong showing, but he's not coming into the pits. So
well, it looks
it's
like
Fozzie,
he's got
sorry.
no damage there,
It's Fozzie.
Oh,
it was Fozzie who had the moment.
Sorry. Yep.
No, that's my fault. I missed that. Obviously, Williams and the Alpine, they look pretty similar on this game. So Fozzie into the pits under this virtual safety car. Jess also gets a drive through. So why is it proving so difficult? As 13 seconds. Oh no, it's come down to 11.5, 10.5. I was about to say then, that's crazy. As the top, as he gets a penalty, does Shelby now? 3 seconds, I imagine.
Yeah,
or is it a
3 seconds, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Leading by 10.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's a 3 second penalty, so it's not a drive through. So Jess coming into the pits, yellow flags in sector 2. We're seeing Jess being passed by John.
There's a car gone off. It is Dr. Mew. Dr. Mew's gone off.
So if Shelby wins this race, are we going to put it down to pace and setup choice, or are we going to put it down to the roadblock that's behind him of the Haas driver of M125? Bit of both.
Well, both. Yeah, he was quick enough behind M125, and he's just continued to extend that gap. So it's not just he's better in the corners or
Here comes Hookie.
Yeah. Oh, yes, he does. Oh, he's got that move.
Yeah, move done and dusted, unless the McLaren's able to hold down the outside. Nope, Hookie goes and makes sure it covers him off. Gives M125 a little bit of breathing room. I feel like he's had someone on his tail. the entire race so far. But the Ferrari's now going to have a chance to try and get that second place man of M125, who's been notoriously hard to overtake. As who's just coming into the pits? It's Alfa Romeo, so he's serving his drive-through perhaps. And Jamie now on the back of Fozzie. Jack obviously will such a painful thing to drive through on this game. Really, really tricky. So.
Well, Hookie's also in the back of still M25. I've just looked at the steering wheels. They're both similar ERS. Hookie's just got a bit more, so whereas obviously Proverb didn't really have much ERS, Hookie's got far more. So I think this is going to be hopefully possibly a different story. So we'll see who can get the best exit as M125 just runs over the sausage curb slightly, so that's unsettled him as the traction goes down, and they're pretty close here. Is Hookie going to go for it? M125 is not going to pull away. As I say that, he's pulling away. So
he's like he's got a turbo that kicks in halfway down the straight, and how frustrating from Hookie.
Yeah, it's got to be like the S duct or F duct or something.
Something, yeah, my gosh. But it's going to be so interesting to see when it dries up. 15 laps still remaining here in Mexico. Whether M125 just comes alive. We saw on the start how rapid he was off the line because of that straight line speed. And yeah, his teammate, we haven't mentioned him, but going along nicely in 5th position, having a bit of a quiet race, but being caught by the Williams of McLaren and Ghost. Sticky gets a bit of a tank slapper there. The other Ferrari down in 14th, we think after there was an incident with Jamie and Matthias earlier on. But yeah, look at the extra speed that the Ferrari can carry through this high speed section. He's got to find a way to force M125 into a mistake, I think.
It's a sort of thing is now. It's a three-way battle for second. It's been for a while, but yeah, Proverb's not going away yet. As I say, that he's gone below for 1 second, but yeah, I'll keep on cursing myself. But what does Hookie do now? Is he gonna potentially go for it? He's using ERS, so is 25 as well.
Has
so
the rain stopped, Matt?
The rain.
Looks to me on board.
It looks like it stopped. Yeah,
but I can't see any. Obviously, the track's still wet. You can see the spray on the tyres, but I think the rain has stopped. So quite early, I would say.
Yeah,
what I was
quite a few laps left.
Yeah, so this could be a saving grace for M125 on that rocket ship that he's currently driving, named Haas, on the rear wing. What's Hookie going to do here? Is he going to try and do something into the braking zone? Just doesn't have the confidence in these conditions on the brakes.
He's had a look, but yeah, it wasn't quite close enough. That we've seen, obviously, Whoopin and Shelby behind 125 during those corners. So unfortunately, yeah, not being able to make a move there. That's probably, you know, you're standing behind, watching this, I think that'd probably be the place to get M125 through there. You're not going to get into turn 1, but if you close in, have a really good first chicane, you know, you'd potentially make a move here. And you'd probably make a move, obviously heading to the stadium section here, I think he is going to. He's going to go around the outside. M125 just about holds on. Is Hookie going to go for the cutback? He's thinking about it. He's going for that better exit again. M125 close to the apex, but you know, you can't really go. It's not worked just there. But Hookie's well through that penalty.
Beautiful helicopter shot. As you were commentating on that, all through that section, Matthias gets ahead of Cowboy, who goes off there. So had a little moment. We were saying he was having a quiet race, but can Hookie do anything? Just no, that rocket ship.
It's
Ghost
like
comes
turns
in.
Up,
Sorry,
like
Matthias is in.
As soon as Hookie goes, it's out the slipstream.
Matthias and Cowboy both are in. Yeah. Let's see. They're going for. Oh, Matthias is going for another inters. Cowboy's going mediums.
Okay.
Was that a mistake from Matthias where he didn't pit? He didn't select the tyre correctly.
Well, possibly, but obviously we're going back to Zandvoort as raceman on mediums. But going back to Zandvoort, the inters, you know, lasted maximum probably 14 laps before we had to go again. But I think he has made a mistake because DRS is now enabled, Nick.
Yep, I think Cowboys called it perfectly here. He made that mistake in the final sector, and now he's going to gain this undercut. The lead had stabilised a little bit. It was between 12.5 and 13 seconds, just gone over 13 now between the top two. Jack gets a 5-second penalty for a collision with Jess. I imagine that was coming into the pit lane. As you're seeing everyone go on to mediums, Matt, I imagine that this is going to be the favourable tyre choice here for the rest of the race. I think you'll see everyone. Do you think anyone could stretch the softs around 12 laps, and would it be worth it?
Well, I thought Shelby might have done. He had that much of a lead, but he's played it safe, and he's gone for the set of mediums. Is anyone really going to go for it? Matthias, potentially?
I think it's a mistake from Matthias. Surely he's going to come back in. It's bone dry up there now, Matt. It's dried up so quickly, the track.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. Obviously, some tracks take so much time to dry up, but yeah, I think it's just the heat of Mexico that's he's in. So it must have been a massive error there from Matthias. Not the first driver we've seen tonight make that little error with the tyre selection. So could be quite interesting. But Cowboy, as he's closing on Ghost here, Ghost has come out the pits. He's just ahead of him. But Cowboy's going to have the speed. He's going to go into turn one. Oh, just about in the lead in. Wow, I'm surprised he hasn't held that actually with warmer tyres, but Ghost has held on for now, so that's key for Ghost there. Cowboy, is he going to close in? He hasn't got TRS open yet, but obviously that's because he's behind Ghost in the detection zone. But we'll see if he can keep close here. Masuki's sort of within a second of M125, but I think this is where this potential setup strategy from M125 is going to come back in clutch for see if he can close in. But I think Shelby's just got that much of a lead that I don't think it's going to really matter in terms of that. But
100%, yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see whether the lead comes down. 13.8 at this lap, it's going up, to be honest. And M125 is struggling. The gap's coming down. Hookie will get DRS. Look at this run he's got. Surely Hookie's going to be able to steam into second place now.
As well, so surely this is going to be the move. M125 is using ERS as well, but with the RS, it's just about enough for Hookie.
They make contact.
The M125 has just turned in like someone wasn't there. That's a bit costly. That could have really caused him damage there, so I don't know what he was sort of thinking there. Hookie was well onside, he's well ahead as well. Probably as like as Marcy's got past Rageman. So we're going to get the overtakes now, Nick. Not many trains. If you're within that second, he's definitely going to make a move. As Cowboy's behind Ghost, is he going to make him move? Well, he's in the sector 3, so he's not going to.
Popper setting the timing screens alight there. Cowboy had set the fastest lap. Popper went and absolutely stole it, definingly as well, in 10th position. So how much can the Mercedes man recover? Obviously, M125 hasn't taken an engine penalty, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. As Shelby sets the fastest lap of the race.
That's opened up the gap to over 14 seconds now.
Job done,
with 10
laps
to go, it's Shelby's to lose really. It was a really good last stadium section there from 125. He's coming to his own there because Proverb was really close heading into that stadium section, but 125 was absolutely smashed that, and he's got enough gap there, and he's closing in on Hookie, and Hookie's like must be fearing for his life. You know how fast he was without DRS. My life. It's going to be quite interesting to see. He's so scared. We'll see if Hookie can hold on there. He's going to have a big gap as Proverb's close in. Cowboy didn't quite get past Ghost, so he must have not had a great run. Anyone with gaps? Any other battles?
Well, you've got Rageman and Marcy, and interestingly, Marcy went so far right, almost as if he was coming out the pits on that straight, just to try and break the toe. Obviously, drivers, if they tuck in behind the car in front, they will gain some extra straight line speed. So that's why you're going to see some drivers try and break the slipstream. Quite a few penalties here up on the screen. We'll run through that. Let's just confirm with you, though, that everyone has stopped at least twice. So everyone has completed their mandatory pit stops here tonight in Mexico, as Shelby sets another fastest lap on those soft compounded tyres.
He's flying, but that gap has actually come down, so I think the Hooky may set the fastest lap here, and he does. Because that gap, yeah, just a great lap there from Hooky, and he's.
Here comes the McLaren as well. He's going to attack M125.
Is he going to make the move? Well, he's alongside him again. It's just about enough. And yeah, he goes there, and yeah, M125 doesn't turn in this time. So.
Yeah, job done for the McLaren. So what is it about M125 setup? Do we think it's traction that he's mainly struggling with now? Because we know he's got straight line speed, but as Rageman gets the job done on Marcy into turn 1.
Yeah, I think potentially he's just gone too far low on the wing. That's what I'm thinking really. He's gone too far low. Where these guys, the top three, have just got it right. Well, Shelby's definitely got it right. But
I think Shelby as well, although the gap's coming down, he was able to get past M125 without spending as long behind as the McLaren and the Ferrari had to do in those wet conditions, which enabled him to open up that gap. Marcy hanging on to Rageman, by the way.
It's a key move, and I think a key move for victory tonight from Shelby there. Didn't really think much of it at the time, but well, I think it might just prove key as the gap continues to be around the same, closes in.
Look at this straight line speed of M120. He was 8 tenths of a second as they started this. He didn't even have to do it on the brake. He's loaded his Monza setup, I'm sure of it, because that is rapid. Poor Frobber must be frustrated as hell.
Yeah, especially when they've got no penalties as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cowboy's dropped out of DRS on Ghost now, so.
Look at this, Marcy and the McLaren.
Marcy,
wheel banging.
Side by side contact, from Marcy and Rageman, but Rageman gets that move done, and Marcy moves down from 7th to 8th, and Rageman up to 7th.
Let's flick on board with the other Ferrari of JL Mason. He's going to have a run here now on Fozzie. Obviously Fozzie had that incident earlier, lost his wing. We know that Mason's been involved in an incident as well. But into tier 1 gains, but on the brakes isn't able to get the job done, but has closed in quite a bit. So, with this DRS zone, as we're seeing Dr. Lee on the soft compounder tyres, with this DRS zone it can sometimes set you up nicely for this second one, which even if you pass the car you get anyway. So just disappointing from her.
Dr. Mew has absolutely outbroke himself there.
Wow, yeah.
He's trying to unlap himself, and well, it's not a great race for him so far.
No, good thing he's ghosted. If he finishes though, you will get a point. Of course, all finishers in one hub get a point this season. Plus, you've got the fastest lap outside the top 10 and inside the top 10. So here we go. What's this? Proverb on M125 isn't able to get it done. I think his only chance here has got to be saving it for the last lap. All his errs. Just try and make M125 waste his, because I don't think they're going to catch Hooky now, who is clawing back Shelby, it has to be said. But if I was Shelby, I'd be driving with a little bit of pace in hand as well.
Well, Hooky, is he doing the DRS here and on the lap traffic? No, he's not. Is he going to be able to hold on here? I don't think Doctor. That is Jack. Is Jack going to give? No, he's not. I don't think so. It's a bit of DRS chicken in between the two of them. But as Hooky finally gets past him, and I think that's going to have him DRS. Yeah, I love a bit of DRS chicken even with lap traffic.
Good to see. But 4 tenths the gap as they cross the line.
Yeah, he's not using the RS. Well, he's not using the RS. He's at really low speeds. He knows that 125 is quicker in the straight, so I think this is a good potential. 6 laps to go. He's going to try and just save it now. Keep close, and hopefully, if 125 does make a mistake, then it's going to be an easy move. But just play it safe. But he's going to go for it now, and hopefully open up that gap enough
in the middle
2 and 3.
Yeah.
Which hopefully, which I did mention earlier about getting that move into that corner, compared to the straight. And I think, yeah,
because I think that's where
Provo
Shelby
must
did
be
it.
listening to me there, because he's finally got the move done there.
I think Shelby did it there as well.
Yeah.
As you see now, the other Alfa Romeo getting past. So only one DNF here in Mexico. No safety cars, 2 virtuals. Anthony, your only retiree, as Rageman gets himself a warning. Currently down in 7th place. His teammate is trying to open this gap, and M125 is saying,
I think it's just not helped. I think Nick, here, it's within 5 cents. It's he needed a better set to 2 and 3.
73% errors as well. M125 has.
I'm surprised he's actually using it. M125. Well, he stopped using it now.
He knows he doesn't need much.
Yeah, doesn't need it.
See ya.
It's definitely got the monster setup on, surely.
That's insane straight line
speed.
That must be so frustrating for the McLaren when you're so much quicker as he gets a snap of oversteer. Of course, you'll see M125's rear wing open because even if you were ahead, it's a double DRS zone, so there's only one activation point which gives it to you for the main straight and that little straight after. We're seeing Matthias getting ahead of Marcy here.
Marcy, yep.
He's continuing to fall further back, it has to be said. Popper's next up to try and catch him. Yeah, are we seeing, has John made any progress on, he's got past Fuzzy. I missed that one, I was trying to catch it.
Cowboys dropped, well, still around that 1 second, but he did dip into it within a couple of corners ago. So it's just outside of it, and I think Cowboys, really wants this better S's section. I'm trying to get my words out. Yeah, Ghost is absolutely flowing through there. So yeah, he's going to survive for another lap. Ghost is. Whopping Proverb right behind M125. Is he going to hold on to it and save his ERS? Is he going to tease M125 here? Yes, I think he is. And he's going to get back into his it and hopefully just. He's going to go for it. He is. Oh, okay.
I often think.
No, M125 holding it round.
Yeah,
he does. But
good racing from those two.
Yeah, clean racing. I don't think there was any contact made, and that's a clean move on there. But M125 is going to go around the outside. You've seen the move done. I've done it myself. Go around the outside. It seems the traction's not too bad there, but he's.
Well, you get the inside, don't you, for the next one? But you've got to carry the speed to get the momentum of the car in front before the apex, which he wasn't able to do. No. So we will continue as we were.
Now.
Yeah,
we'll see. As M25 does have a bit of a moment there. Oh, is he gonna? He's just within ERS here, but he's dropped below a second, so he needs that DRS now, and he's back in within that second. He's in a late break here, and he just about gets it. I think the detection zone. He's got a really good circle. Oh, he's going to cost himself here.
Yeah.
Poor entry there. And he's out of a second. He's out of a second.
Yeah, so he won't get it. I wonder how much he'll gain. So keep an eye on that gap. 1.3. As by the way,
I'm going to go below 5 tenths.
Yeah, I think you're bang on the money there. I reckon 4 tenths by the time. No, he wasn't able to gain as much as we thought. But look at this, 8.6 seconds the gap. So I definitely think Shelby was running high downforce because he's either driving extremely cautious now to avoid those penalties, or it is set up related. But Popper, by the way, on the back of Marcy now down the main straight. This looks like could be a move that's on. Hardly any airs left for the Mercedes man. This is important for his championship challenge into 9th position. And job done. Marcy not able to defend. Cowboy, by the way, has fallen to 2 seconds behind Ghost. So you'd have to say that's pretty much where they're going to finish. So outside the top 10, will we see any drivers come into the pits for the fastest lap? Perhaps Mason might try. Or Jamie, someone like that.
Yeah, Jamie could do.
It's worth 2 points this season, remember, as 7.5 the gap coming down. So is it a case of sweaty hands because you're nervous? Obviously that first race win, you really don't want to mess it up. And Hooky.
Yeah, potentially. But I was looking at the race director, and they're both on the same amount of warnings. So they're one warning off getting a 6-second penalty. So Yeah, so I think they're both being cautious, but Hookie's obviously he's got nothing to lose. Well, he may have something to lose if he
I was
does get
going
up
to
another
say,
penalty.
yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see. But
Well, we've
2 laps
seen
to go.
Hookie send it into the barriers before towards the end of the race this season from pushing too hard. So will he just settle for second place?
Matthias got past Rageman there, and it's
Yes.
turn 1.
He's
Nice
had
little
some
help
good
of
pace, has
DRS.
Matthias, hasn't he? But
Yeah,
due to
he's
those
got his comeback.
incidents.
Good recovery. Some good points, really. But yeah, and Papa Squatch up to 9th, and that's a pretty good recovery as well, because I think he was down 16th at some point, 1 point. So I think he won't be happy, but he'll be happy in the long term.
So Haas, your current Constructors' Championships leaders will look to extend here tonight in Mexico. So they're currently leading by 22 points from Red Bull.
Cowboy, sorry.
As Cowboy gets himself a penalty. Mercedes are in third on 134. Just behind them, McLaren 129. So they'll be hoping to take advantage of Mercedes' poor showing tonight. Ferrari in fifth on 108. Williams in 6th, Alfa Romeo in 7th. They're going to jump up with this win. They're both tied on 80 points. BWT Alpine on 73, Aston Martin on 24, and AlphaTauri on 10 points. So that's your constructors. We'll run through the drivers shortly. We've got sponsors to do as well before we head off here tonight. Let's ride on board with Jess, give us some airtime as she hunts down Fozzie Bear, former One Hub Racing champion as well.
Well, Probo must have made a mistake, because M125 is now back within DRS range, and that's a bit of danger if he's within DRS on the main straight.
Yeah, he'll be expecting to, particularly because M125 had a decent amount of errors as well. So we'll keep an eye on that gap. Obviously, Jess here looking. I think she's probably got the gap small enough on exit here. No, I think actually Fozzie gained on the exit. He's just going to use. She's not using DRS for some reason.
No, she's not. So what's happened there?
Lap 36 or 36. We haven't seen. So Shelby's actually coming up to lap 2. We haven't seen too much of as Jack. I think this might be going for the fastest lap outside the top 10. None of the others have decided to go and do the risk. But let's give Shelby a bit of airtime on this last lap. We'll keep an eye on M125. I don't think he's going to have an opportunity to try and get the podium place back.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, that's over. I think, because he's just had an absolute tails back end loss. So yeah, I think Whoopi's going to hold on to third there.
So Shelby, let's talk about this man. Joined last season. I knew him through work. Himself and Jack and Dr. Mute all worked for me. And Shelby currently on his way to set. I mean, yeah, he's not pushing. He's 2 seconds down after the first 2 sectors. But here we go through the stadium section, the baseball stadium, which is pretty cool on the final lap. It has to be said. You see the confetti, the fireworks, whatever it is. So here he comes. This is going to be his first One Hub Racing win in the P3 tier. Congratulations. He crosses the line. He wins Mexico round 8. Hookie is going to come across the line to take second. Then you're going to see Proverb hard fought third position with M125, your championship leader, in fourth. Ghost is now coming around the final corner and is going to take fifth position, I believe. Yes, Cowboy takes sixth position. Matthias, good recovery from him after showing strong pace to take 7th position. Rageman jumps up to 7th, Matthias down to 8th, and Popper will take both of them and jump up to 7th. So Popper 7th, Rageman 8th, Matthias 9th, Marcy in 10th, Felix finishes in 11th, so points for the AlphaTauri team. Jamie will score the final point in 12th position, crosses the line, and JR Mason, involved in that incident earlier, and the gorgeous Ferrari, number 54, will come across the line to take 13th position. Unlucky for some, will of course score a point because he finished the race. Fozzie Bear obviously had that incident in the middle of the race and crosses the line. now to take 14th with just behind in 15th. So exciting race there. The weather really played a part of it, but it's always special to see a driver get their first win, Matt.
Yeah, you remember the feeling for years to come. No matter how many victories you get, or podiums, or fastest laps, or poles, that first victory in a new league that you've not raced before, it's always special. Um, so yeah, so well done to Shelby there.
So at the podium celebrations, we'll run you through the order. As I mentioned, M125 was leading the championship. He will continue to lead the championship ahead of Popper, Jamie in third, Jess in fourth, Proverb in fifth, Rage in sixth, Matthias seventh, Hooky eighth. He'll jump up after that result. Cowboy in ninth, Shelby in 10th, JR Mason 11th, Marcy in 12th, Jack in 13th, Ghost in 14th, Fozzie in 15th, Lesty in 16th, Cosmic, who I believe is Marcy in 17th, Anthony in 18th, KK in 19th, Dr. Mew 20th, and Felix in 21st place. So let's quickly run through the order, Matt. Do you want to do the honours?
Yeah, can do. So Shelby takes victory here in Mexico with Hooky taking the fastest lap as well. Didn't quite convert that pole to win, but a good second place. Proverb in third, M25, straight line speed, Goat in fourth, Ghost in fifth, Cowboy sixth, Papa Squatch, Rageman, Matthias, S7 8th, 9th, Marcy 10th, you got Felix, Jamie Met, JR Mason, Fozzie Bear, Jess James and Giacomondo and Dr. Mew finishing the race outside the top 10 with just Anthony Hunt having the only DNF this race.
So Felix will get the fastest lap outside the top 10, and inside the top 10 will be, of course, Hooky. So, Matt, I am going to give you the chance to pick the driver of the day first, as you're a guest here tonight in the commentary box. Who are you going for, and what question would you like to ask them in the media afterwards?
Okay, so first time doing this, so it's gonna be no pressure. But I'm gonna go with Cowboy for my drive of the day. Going from 13th to end up I think 6th in the end.
Yep, sixth position.
Yeah,
Yep.
so a great recovery from qualifying. So my question is how did obviously heading into the first lap, um, well done for avoiding the carnage. What was your thoughts obviously after avoiding the carnage? Was you thinking you're going to fall down the order again, or were you were you happy with holding on to where you were and probably hopefully get close? But yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go for Shelby. I think that's the obvious choice for me. From sixth on the grid as well, so not like a straightforward win in terms of starting on pole. So congratulations to Shelby. Your first win is always special, and it was a long time coming. So I know Colin will be a little bit disappointed to have missed it, but he was watching the stream, so I'm sure he'll comment on it next week. But my question for Shelby is, did you always feel you had the pace to win this race? And how were those last 5 laps for you? Were you nervous as hell? So there we have it, Matt. We just need to run through the sponsors and partners, which I will do in just a second, before we need to head off and get a few laps in before our P1 race. P2 race is live, by the way, so if you fancy heading over there and joining them, you can see who is currently winning the race, which is Lukey in first position. Is his qualifying still? No, lap 1. So Lukey currently leads lap 1 of the race, with Axlock in second position. Myself and Matt will be racing in the P1 tier, which will be live at 8 o'clock. But final thoughts on One Hub, your first One Hub commentary, Matt. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. Yeah, good to Chris and the cherry, or what I don't know what the saying is, but yeah, thanks for having me once again.
No worries. Thanks for saving us. And as we mentioned, hope Colin feels much better next week. But let's run through and thank our sponsors and partners. We'll start with Next Level Racing, of course, providing setups and rigs, prizes for drivers to win since season. Oh, hold on a second. Since season 16, I think. So 8 seasons now. Big thanks to them. Vespertine, who of course you can head over and check out our One Hub Racing merch. Pure Sim Gear, of course, providing sim racing socks or gloves to a winner this season. ERT, of course, big thanks to them. They help us get all your trophies and medals shipped out to you. If you finish in the top 3 or win Driver of the Month, which Matthias did for February. SimGrid, obviously we run all our leagues through SimGrid, so big thanks to them for letting us do that. And Asotex Imports, who provide merchandise and prizes for the seasons. So thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed that race. We look forward to being back next week. But myself and Matt need to get some laps in because it's going to be a whole load of fun. Heavy rain, light rain, too dry. P2 Tier is live. Thank you everyone for joining us and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.